Greetings. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Top Lawyer series by the Lawyer Africa. My name is Efijana Tieno, and today we have an advocate of the High Court who is highly ranked when it comes to ADR issues. And we'll just have a conversation with him to know a little bit about him as a person, him as an advocate, and also a little bit more about his firm and his work when it comes to publishing, teaching, and generally what he's doing in this profession of ours. So today, I want to welcome Dr. Mutubwa. Hi, Dr.
Very well, thank you very much, Effie. Unakaribishwa sana. Welcome.
Asante sana. Maybe you can just introduce yourself to the audience. Who is Dr. Mutubwa? What do you do? And how did you get to this point, essentially your career journey to where we rank you as one of the most sought after ADR practitioners in the country?
Thank you very much. I want to begin by saying thank you for having me here. I am not sure that I am the highest ranking, but I am flattered by that suggestion. I began like everybody did. I went to law school. I then started practicing as a general practitioner. I was employed in a law firm where we practiced some arbitration, but we largely practiced civil law, some commercial law, land cases, employment cases. And therefore, I practiced everything first. For about 5 years in my practice, I focused on learning the trade, doing everything right. I was a trial lawyer. Some people don't know I was a very good criminal law lawyer. I would go to court in Kibera, Makadara, and other places. Then I joined the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators about 15 years ago. I sat what they used to call the entry course. That is the very lowest level of the training of arbitrators. I took the course and I was very intrigued by what I saw my instructors say about this process of arbitration. But I had also participated in 1 or 2 arbitrations as party representative in our law firm then. And these were large construction disputes involving state corporations and large contractors. So it piqued an interest in me. I wanted to know what is this that arbitrators did. And I then sought to become one. I decided to invest my time, my money and energy. I was a very junior associate, earning very little. When I went to the institute to register for the course, it was way, way beyond what I thought I could afford. But I decided that I'm going to try. I put my money together, did the entry course, module 1, 2, 3, up to the fellowship level. So that was the beginning. I also started attending ADR events. I went for conferences. I looked out for where people were discussing ADR, particularly arbitration that time. Mediation was not as popular as it is today. So we used to go to arbitration conferences, cocktails, dinners. As a member of the institute, I also took an interest in teaching arbitration. So I started to understudy the most seasoned tutors. So I took time, about 3-4 years, just understudying, learning the trade. I also took up writing of articles in journals here and in London. I was writing an article every month on some areas of arbitration which I thought needed improvement. And slowly, people started noticing that I was around. Even those who had not met me in person would read my articles and then try and relate and put a face to the writing. So that is how we started. It was not particularly structured. We were trying here and there. The opportunities were very limited. There were very few practitioners in this town, and therefore we had to find our way somehow. Yes.
Wow, that is quite an inspiring journey. Thank you so much for sharing that with our audience today. And just to ride a little bit on that, you were the chief guest recently at the launch of the Young Arbitrators Club at Kenyatta University. Tell us a little bit about that. Why the need to inspire the young aspiring advocates in ADR?
You know, when I started arbitration, one of the biggest challenges we had were opportunities for young people. I was a young person that time. There was no formal structure for mentorship, training, support. arbitration is very expensive.
Yeah.
Training as an arbitrator is not cheap. Getting to these conferences, to these international fora is not cheap. And I noticed something, that the uptake of arbitration by young people was dwindling by the day because the costs were just prohibitive.
Yeah.
So when I joined the Institute's leadership, I started at the very lowest. I started as a member of the Young Members Group. I remember we started the group under the leadership of one lady called Mercy Okero. Mercy Okero was the chair of the Young Members Group, and I served on her committee. And we made it our deliberate objective to go out and look for young people, particularly at the university, those taking courses related to dispute resolution, particularly in the built industry and the legal side of things, or lawyers. So we made it our business to go and speak to young people, mentor them, encourage them, inspire. We even came up with a proposal to cut the fees for training as young arbitrators by over 70%, simplify the process. So it became my rallying call. It became one of my most important objectives when I became vice chairman and later chairman of the institute, to ensure that we bring on board young people, because a profession without the future, without 60% of the population, is doomed to fail.
Yeah.
So we had to carry them along. So it became important, and I am very passionate about it. I have many more initiatives I have done for young people, because I think the young people are the ones who drive the economy. They are the ones who drive the professions, and they must find their place, notwithstanding the difficulties that come with particularly the cost of training and the cost of becoming an arbitrator and running a successful ADR practice. Yes.
Wow, thank you so much. You've mentioned the arbitrators side, that is the side of the students who are joining the club,
Yes.
and those who are essentially members of the CIRB.
Yes.
But there's also a lot of conversation around arbitration being very expensive, especially for laypersons. That is, most people would prefer to consider litigation as opposed to going for arbitration to settle their disputes. What is your take on that?
My answer to that is yes and no. Arbitration is not meant for every kind of disputes. There are some disputes which definitely arbitration is not suited for, and it makes it expensive, particularly smaller claims. Claims less than, say, 10, 20 million shillings, for instance. I mean, the cost of doing arbitration in those kind of cases sometimes is very high compared to the subject matter. However, arbitration can be cost effective for very large contracts, contracts in the billions, complex contracts, contracts involving complex subject matter, energy disputes, mining disputes, telecommunication disputes, trans-border or cross-border contracts. It is not only the cost that makes arbitration attractive. People don't come to arbitration because of its cost only. It is just one of the elements. The other one is privacy, confidentiality. You also have an arbitrator who is an expert in the subject matter. You also have the ability of leveraging on certain principles, including the ability to choose your own procedures, and the most important, finality. The other ones, flexibility, cost-effective are good, but finality. Commercial people want finality. They don't want to spend 12, 15 years in courts going through the hierarchy from the magistrate all the way, and appeals and counter appeals. So when you look at it in the overall, when you take all these matters into consideration, you find that arbitration still remains appealing. One of the things that will surprise you is that as much as people say arbitration is expensive, our numbers, we did a research last year which told us that year on year, arbitration is growing by over 500% in this country every year.
Okay.
That does not tell you that people are shunning it. It tells you people are actually attracted to it, because it has also some good qualities. It is not perfect like any other human endeavor. It has its own challenges, but I can tell you it is still a good product. Yes.
Thank you so much. I think this was triggered by a lot of conversation has been happening online with people putting arbitration clauses in contracts as simple as rental agreements.
Absolutely.
For a lease of maybe 50,000 shillings.
It may not be necessary.
It doesn't make sense. So
but
thank you for
remember,
clarifying that.
there is also the possibility of capping costs in arbitration. If you look at the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators rules, 2020 arbitration rules, we have small claim arbitrations. You can agree with an arbitrator, usually very young arbitrators who are just starting out, can agree to charge you 100,000 for your whole dispute. The subject matter could be 5 million, you can cap the hours you are taking and cap the costs. What most people don't know is that arbitration is about negotiating or negotiation around the cost, around the contract you have with the arbitrator. An arbitrator can say, you'll pay me 300,000 shillings, I will do this job for 3 months, and we must complete in 3 months. So sometimes parties themselves, and perhaps even the profession itself has not communicated effectively, that there are options which would make smaller claims still viable within the arbitration space.
Okay, I think that's something maybe a lot of people should look into, because most people just think of it at the grand scale.
All right.
Yes, so maybe just a little bit about your firm, Dr. Mutubwa Law. You can tell us a little bit about your firm, when it started, and seemingly other areas of practice, unless you just practice arbitration purely.
We are a boutique firm, as they say. You will see that we are, even if you read out there, we are law offices and arbitration chambers. So we don't only do arbitration, but we do a lot of arbitration. Arbitration really is our mainstay. If you told somebody this 15 years ago, you would not believe it, that I run a firm that is 80% arbitration practice. And arbitration practice means I sit as an arbitrator. At any one time, I am sitting as an arbitrator in about 20 cases. I also represent parties before arbitrators. At any one time, 40 to 50 arbitrations going on in this firm. And I also teach arbitration. I also write about arbitration. And I also consult, give people advice on arbitration. But I also do commercial law. We practice commercial law, we represent insurance companies, we represent banks, we represent state corporations. I also practice election law, procurement law. I practice a lot of employment law, but that is not at the scale which we practice arbitration. And even in arbitration, increasingly I am venturing towards oil and gas and construction disputes. So that is one of the areas we are really strong in. Every person who walks into this office to work here has some qualification in arbitration. I ensure that I sponsor all my employees. All the advocates in the firm are members of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators. They are qualified arbitrators. We are at least 8 or 9 of us now. And we have support staff, paralegals, up to about 15 of us, and we have a branch out in Kakamega. So we do a lot of arbitration. We do a lot of construction disputes. We do a lot of procurement matters, commercial law, and many, but we are really a commercial arbitration law firm. And we've been doing this for some time. This is my 18th year in the practice of law.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it tells you that I have also been around the corners for some time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, okay, then I'm still a baby in this profession, counting my 4th month.
Wow.
Well, that is, I think that's very inspiring in terms of you're not just you as the arbitrator, but also making sure everyone in the firm also gets on board.
It is impossible to do it alone.
Yeah.
The pleadings you do in arbitration are large volumes. The documentation in arbitration is in the thousands of pages per matter. You need a team, a competent team, but you also need a big team. And you need a team that is thorough. Today, as I sit here in this interview, there are possibly about 6-7 arbitration defenses, claims which are prepared out there. Yeah, so I do a lot of quality assurance now.
Wow, okay. With the numbers you're mentioning, you guys are not a boutique firm. This is not a boutique firm. You should drop the name boutique. Thank you so much. You also teach.
Yes.
So maybe tell us a little bit about that. Why academia? Because it's like you're holding a lot, especially in the legal profession. This is literally you nurturing young minds into the profession.
I am often asked that question, why do you teach? And I come from a family of teachers. My father was a teacher. My mother was a teacher. My uncles, I have very many relations who are teachers. And I tend to tell people that if I was not an advocate, I would still just be a teacher. because it brings me satisfaction. You know, there are things which make you money, and there are things which satisfy you.
Yeah.
Everyone must have that in life. One of the things that makes me satisfied is teaching. It may not make me as much money as we make here, but it makes me content as a person. So I have taught literally everywhere. I have taught in schools, in high schools.
Oh,
I have
okay.
I have been a teacher through and through. I have taught at the Kenya School of Law, I've taught at university, and I am at my best when teaching. That's why even at the Chartered Institute, I still teach. I have taught literally everybody. I have taught chief justices, I have taught judges, I have taught magistrates, I have taught colleagues, older and young, I have taught senior counsel, I have taught everybody. And it takes pride. It takes, you know, it's a lot of pride for me when I walk in the supermarket and somebody says, "How are you, Mwalimu?" I may not even recognize who it is. But it's simply because the easiest thing to give without losing anything is knowledge. You just give and you gain more. So I have taught, I teach because I think it is something I am good at, and I also think that it's something that satisfies me. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty amazing, and thank you so much for, you know, being those who are at the foundational years of anyone joining the profession. Now, maybe what would be your word of advice to young advocates, even senior advocates, who are trying to excel in arbitration, consultancy, because you've also mentioned you do a lot of consultancy,
yes.
especially in consultancy, because right now, as we see it, people are moving away from mainstream legal practice, especially the young advocates are trying to keep up with the changing dynamics in the world and move away from contemporary legal practice.
3 things I tell people. And some people come to me and say, "We want to be you, we want to try and be like you." I told them, don't try and be you, don't be me, be the best that you are. And I say 3 things actually myself. I would look at and say, this is what you can do to better your chances. There's no script, there's no, there's no prescription for success. But I tell people the first thing you do is forget about what people tell you to be, not to be a jack of all trades. 0 to 5 years in practice, be a jack of all trades until you find what works for you. Try everything until you find where your heart really belongs. Number 2, invest in yourself. It's very expensive. Go to school, get qualifications, invest in skills and papers. Not only papers, skills and papers. And lastly, confidence is 50% of this game. Always make people know that you understand your stuff. Be known for something. If you want to speak about data protection, energy law, you want to speak about renewable, anything you want to do, family law, children cases, speak with authority and speak with confidence and act with confidence. Clients do not look beyond what you present. Clients actually just look at you and determine whether they'll go with you or not on a hunch. Not on the basis of the papers you're going to give them. And if you demonstrate an understanding of your subject at an advanced level, and you are confident, and you have experience in the area, and you have taken time to invest in that area, the world will conspire and just give you success. You do all those things every day without failing. Success comes even when you don't know. When people started telling me, "You're doing very well," I actually did not think so myself. So you just find yourself in a space where people are now telling you, "You are our senior, you are a person we look up to." The transition from mentee to mentor sometimes is blood. You may not even know that you have transitioned. So it's important that you keep doing it, keep building a reputation, and you'll get there.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. Maybe now just a little bit back on your firm. How is it that, how you ensure that you and your team, you know, keep up with the changing dynamics of the legal profession? Because it's like every time you turn, every time you finish a course, there's something else.
Something new has come.
There's something new, and right now a lot of people are talking about data protection, and also that it's like a last year thing. Right now everyone is talking about carbon rights and all those things, and next year it will be something else.
There will always be something that is threatening your profession. You now know we are discussing about quacks and the profession. It's a lot of, there's a lot of debate around it. The most important thing to do is to keep yourself appraised. Always know what is happening. I send my people to train, whether it's data protection now, carbon credits, I want them to know this. I also take time to learn about it and ask myself, how does it fit into my work, or how does it augment my work, or how does it affect my future? So the idea is, if you are a property lawyer, it is not enough just to know things about property. Also understand what people are saying in other spaces. Understand how technology is going to affect your practice. And always keep ahead of time. And that is why I said, you must keep on investing. You must keep on going into those spaces, listening to what people are saying. So it is not just about shifting positions because people are moving towards data. People are moving. Talk about data in arbitration. Because I am an arbitration practitioner, so I want to know, what is this data protection saying about my area? Carbon credits, is there an opportunity for arbitration there? When an arbitration comes in that space, do I understand it sufficiently to advise a client or sit as arbitrator? So always relate it with what you think is the best. Remember, it's like a house. You have a foundation, you have something you love fundamentally. I'm a children lawyer, and now people are talking about data. I am a health law practitioner. People are talking about carbon credits. Is there a place? Does it relate with what I do? Can I find a niche for myself there? Those are the things I would tell somebody to do. Remain focused on what you think is important for you, but don't fear. You know, lawyers have a problem. They fear what they don't understand, they fear it. Then they resist it. Then if they understand it, they embrace it. So always embrace change, and then keep your knowledge sharp. Yes.
This man is very brilliant, guys. We can go on with this interview for hours. Just because I'm enjoying the conversation. Thank you so much. Maybe even as we conclude, maybe just two final questions. The first one, you've won so many awards. Everywhere I turn, Dr. Mutubwa is being awarded for something. So you've won so many awards. You've been recognized on so many platforms for the various things that you do in the profession. What do you think is the next thing for you and your firm?
You know, I have grappled with that question many times. Sometimes, like I got an award last year, somebody tried to nominate me again for the award this year. I had to tell them, no, we have very many good people who can get those awards. I try nowadays not to offer myself for awards, because I think there are many people out there who offer even better prospects, because awards are supposed to highlight or shine light on some person who represents a bigger group. I'm just one who represents some group of people who have done it. I'm not the only one. We have very many good ones. So I try to say, look, if I got it once, let somebody else guessed it. Now, what is it for me? I don't know. God knows where we are going. I believe in investing in myself, doing what I do, improving my skills, improving my farm here, trying to build on what we have, get more clients, get people to believe in our product and in our work. But where I will end up, I do not know. But what I know is that at some point, public service. At some point.
Really?
It's something I have not done in my life. I have been in private practice, I have taught, I have led organizations, I have served on boards, I have done many things in private practice. What I may not have done is public service. Yeah.
All right.
But not now, somewhere down the road. If the opportunity comes. If the opportunity comes.
Thank you. We've heard a lot about you as an advocate, as an arbitrator. Maybe just you outside work, you outside, I'm assuming now you in jeans and t-shirts. What do you do, or something that most people wouldn't know about you outside the legal practice?
What many people don't know, I am a very easy person to deal with. I am not stuck up. I am not, people think you are a PhD, you are a lecturer, you teach. You are so stuffy. You are a guy. I listen to music. I dance.
Really?
I am a very good dancer. Some people will not agree, but I think so. I am a father of 2 daughters. I try to spend time with them. But I am a president of a hockey club. I used to play hockey in high school, in college. I was one of the outstanding players up even to the national level. So I ran a hockey club, which I helped found when I was a young boy in Kakamega. So I play some golf. I don't find as much time now to play as I used to. I used to be a very good golfer. I still can play some golf. I used to write plays for stage acting. And I think it may have helped me in my communication, my ability to speak with confidence, to address people, captivate a crowd. So I do those things. Some of them I don't do anymore, but I am also an entrepreneur. I try to do some small businesses here and there. But largely I am one person who loves to live life. I try to get the finer things in life while I'm still alive. I try and do things that make me happy. But I am very measured in the way I do those things. That is the only way I remain sane. Yeah.
That's amazing. I think a lot of lawyers I've noticed have an artistic side. At some point, I thought I would be an actress.
Yes.
I used to do it, and then law school happened, and the dream just died down.
Once you discover money, many good things go. Unfortunately, you find a guy who was a good footballer. I was just seated with my students here yesterday. Very good vocalist. I told them, even when you get money, please don't forget. Some of us lost many things because we then said we have to chase money and see where we go to. Bald heads and white beards. You were saying, I'll come back. Before you know it, it's 20 years.
We need a Dr. Mutubwa production. Maybe just final question.
Yes.
You can give us your final remarks or just something you'd like to tell the audience as we conclude the interview.
I am planning something beginning January next year, 3 times a year. I'm calling it the Dr. Mutubwa Connect. It is a gig, you know, where I bring young people who are musicians like my students, talented people, people who do the spoken word, but now in a place where we can sit, maybe in a hotel room, you know, and we just sit in an evening, have cocktails. You know, young people like shorts, they like music, they like this kind of thing, and then we discuss arbitration and commercial law in a relaxed setting. So I'll bring a senior arbitrator, for instance, and then bring somebody their age whom they can actually see, and invite 100, 200 young people and just speak about how we can work around the corners and corridors of commercial practice and ADR. 3 times a year, that will be my contribution to the community, because I want to, you know, balance the arts and these very stuffy things we do, but also tell them that there could be some life. You will have some life in this thing. But you need to meet the right people. Where do you meet? You meet in social places. I will tell you many things, many deals, many briefs, many successful stories are gotten around a drink. When people sit across the table in offices, on boardrooms, you don't really get to see the real person. You don't really ever get to see the real person. You see the representation of the person as he wants you to see. So I want to bring a connect, an easy place where people can also enjoy themselves, good vibes, music, you know, dance, a bit of drinks. Let's talk about arbitration, commercial law, a bit freely, but more seriously, also trying to network and connect. Good.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to that.
Karibu.
Tell me where to sign up.
I will invite you.
Thank you so much.
Nashukuru sana.
This has been a really exciting interview. I think we could go on for hours and hours. It's a very easy conversation. Thank you so much. To everyone who joined us today, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for always joining and watching the other episodes, and also just listening in. For those who are listening to the audios, we cannot do this without you. So we appreciate, you know, the time you take to listen to us, sometimes just making noise and ranting. And also we appreciate the time to get to know a lot of the top ranked lawyers outside, you know, the suits and all that. So there's more to you than just Dr. Mutubwa, the arbitrator. So thank you so much for that honor. Please be sure to check out all our previous videos. Be sure to watch all of them. And also you can just look at Dr. Mutubwa's profile online and see a lot of things that he writes about. I think most of us would have interacted with your papers back in campus. You will be able to learn a thing or two, and you do not have to be a lawyer to read the papers. So once again, thank you so much. That would be all from us. Thank you. Bye.